She said her wedding was no place for me, so I walked away quietly, painfully. But what she didn't know was that some things only stay standing because of the people you push away. It was a Tuesday afternoon when my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, half smiling my sister Hannah, but the smile faded as I read her message. Stay away from my wedding. It's better for everyone this way. No explanation, no call, just a text. It felt like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. I read it again, slower this time, trying to convince myself it was a joke. But Hannah wasn't joking. She never joked about control. And in that moment, all the air between us, years of laughter, late night secrets, and shared dreams evaporated into silence. Hannah and I grew up inseparable. She was older by 3 years, always the one to protect me from our strict father and our unpredictable mother. She'd braid my hair before school, sneak me extra dessert, and tell me, you and I, no matter what. But no matter what doesn't always survive adulthood. When mom passed away, things changed. Grief turned Hannah into something sharp, ambitious, distant, obsessed with building a perfect life. She wanted control because losing mom had shown her how fragile life really was. And I became the reminder of everything she couldn't control. When Hannah met Jacob, I tried to be happy for her. He was polite, charming, a little too smooth. He always called me kiddo, even though we were the same age. Something about him never sat right with me. He smiled too much, he flattered too easily, and whenever Hannah wasn't looking, his eyes lingered too long, not in a brotherly way. I told her once, quietly, that I didn't trust him. She snapped. You're jealous. You have always wanted to ruin my happiness. That was the first time she ever looked at me like I was a stranger. After that conversation, everything changed. Calls stopped, invitations slowed. She started posting pictures of bridal fittings, family dinners, and I wasn't in any of them. Dad tried to stay neutral. Just give her space, he said. But space turned into distance, and distance turned into a wall. And then came the text, stay away from my wedding. It was more than a disinvitation, it was an exile. I didn't reply, I didn't beg. For the first time in years, I decided to respect her wish even if it broke me. Instead of crying on the wedding day, I booked a flight. Somewhere far, somewhere peaceful. Bali. I told no one. I just packed a bag, turned off my phone, and disappeared. For the first time in forever, I wasn't trying to fix anything. I wasn't the peacemaker or the emotional punching bag. I was just me. The first few days were strange. Silence feels heavy when you spent your life trying to unlove, but slowly the waves started to wash it away. I started laughing again, really laughing. I took pictures, danced barefoot on the beach, and let the world move on without me. On the fifth night, I finally turned my phone back on. A flood of missed calls and messages filled the screen. Dad, cousins, even a few from numbers I didn't recognize, and then one from Hannah. It was long, panicked, desperate. Please call me. It's all falling apart. Jacob, he wasn't who I thought he was. My heart sank. I opened my messages and scrolled. My cousin had texted too. Hannah's wedding is off. He cheated with her best friend the night before. I sat on the bed staring at the screen, the sound of ocean waves behind me. All I could think was I warned her. I always warned her. Over the next few days, the truth unfolded like a slow motion disaster. Jacob had been seeing Hannah's maid of honor for months. He'd used Hannah for money, for status, for the image of perfection she was obsessed with. And when it all came out, everything she built crumbled. The wedding was cancelled, the venue lost, and the family she wanted to impress now pitied her. She was humiliated, and she was alone. I should have felt vindicated, but all I felt was tired. A week later, my phone rang again. It was Hannah. I almost didn't answer, but my heart still knew her voice. She sounded small. I don't even know who I am anymore, she whispered. I pushed away the only person who really cared about me. There it was, the apology I had wanted for years, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt sad. I told her I was sorry for what happened, that I hoped she'd heal, but I didn't offer to fly back. I wasn't ready, not yet. Forgiveness, I realized, isn't the same as reconciliation. Stayed in Bali for 3 more weeks. I met new people, wrote in my journal every night. For the first time, I started living for myself, not for family approval or love that had to be earned. When I came home, I didn't visit right away. Hannah sent me flowers, text, even letters. Eventually, we met at mom's old favorite cafe, the one where we used to sit and dream about the future. She cried the moment she saw me. We didn't fix everything that day, but we started. And maybe that's what growth really is, not erasing the pain, but accepting that some stories need both distance and silence to heal. Sometimes love means walking away not to punish, but to protect yourself. Family can hurt you deeper than anyone else because you never expect the knife from the ones who said they'd never use it. But when you stop chasing their acceptance, you start discovering your own worth. Hannah's world fell apart without me. Mine started when I stopped trying to belong in hers. Thanks for watching.